Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this meeting of Winchester City Council's Planning Committee, taking place in the Walton Suite of Winchester Guildhall. It's Wednesday, the 28th of May, 2025, and the time is 2 p.m. My name is Councillor Jane Rutter. I am the Chair of the Planning Committee. Around the table, we have the other elected members of the committee, and we are supported today by a number of officers. Lorna Hutchings, the Service Lead for the Built Environment, Daniel Lucas, our Legal Advisor, the case officers, which will change with each item, and Matthew Watson from Democratic Services, who supports the committee and operates the recording equipment. To my right is my Vice Chair, Councillor Williams. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded to the Council's YouTube channel. Subtitles are available and advice on how to turn them on is set out on our website. I need to remind you all to ensure your mobile phones and any other electronic devices are on silent or preferably turned off entirely. In the unlikely event that it is necessary to evacuate the building, the fire alarm will sound. Please follow all the instructions given to you by our team. Finally, can I welcome members of the public to the meeting? Those of you who have registered to speak, I will call you forward when it is your turn to make your contribution. Members of the committee may ask you questions of clarification, so please remain at the microphone until after members' questions. The microphone is turned on by pressing the button on the base of the unit, and a timer will appear on the screen to remind you of your remaining time. So now we return to our agendas, most of which we've gone through this morning, and we're at item number 13, which is 15 Princes Close, Bishop's Waltham, and our presenting officer is Joe Toole. Over to you, Joe.
Thank you, Chair. So this application is outline application for a new 3-bedroom detached dwelling within the garden of 15 Princes Close. There's just a minor update on condition 1, that the application for approval of reserved matters is in association with the access, appearance, landscape and scale. This application solely to determine the layout of the scheme. There also involves a variation of condition 3 that again just refers to reserved matters in relation to access, appearance, layout and scale. In terms of the update sheet, there has been a slight amendment to condition 10 with regards to permitted development removal to encompass further elements of the legislation as well with regards to porches and outbuildings. There's also been a new condition added with regard to a construction management plan as well. So on to the application. This is the location plan here, which shows the application aged in red. It is located to the northwest of the site of Princes Close and Elizabeth Way here as well. The site contains 2-storey detached dwelling houses with a mixture of brick finishes. Within the wider site, there is 2-storey detached and semi-detached properties with various designs in a residential character. This shows the aerial photograph of the site here with the pin showing the 15 Princes Close, where my marker here would be where the dwelling house would be positioned. This application is an amendment from a previous permission where permission was granted for a semi-detached dwelling. However, throughout the course of the application, there has been some amendments with the original submission being a detached dwelling house. This here shows the plans provided, where you can see here is positioned with number 15 and the separation there as well with regards to the access here as well. Now, there was concern with the design of this, hence the negotiation for it to be a semi-detached dwelling house as shown in the plans here. Yeah, I'll just go back so you can see the slight difference here where it's goes placed up against number 15. Now here is the proposed block plan of the application before us, which shows the dwelling house, and which is actually a reduction in footprint of the original detached property. Now, reverting back to the original plans, this is what first came in for the detached property. See here, the ridge is actually above number 15. There's dormers on the back, and it doesn't have any relationship in terms of similar designs to number 15 adjacent to the site. This shows the approved plans on the previous application. And you can see it's got the front gable that reflects number 15. Now this shows the proposed plans here before us. Now there has been some amendments from the original scheme with regards to the ridge now matching number 15. There's now a front gable design that reflects number 15, and the dormers have been removed as well to reduce its dominance appearance. These shows the proposed materials to be used, which would be reflective of the street as well. Now onto the site photographs. Where this red fencing is would be the position of the new dwelling house. This area shows the parking, where it would be placed. Obviously the fencing would be removed. And then here shows the front of number 15. And this shows the actual close here, Prince's Close, with the surrounding properties. And this is the property opposite here as well, number 6. But as per the officer's report, it is a recommendation to approve the application in line with the local plan policies and as laid out within the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joe. The only public speaker we have this afternoon for this item is Mr. Craig Tickner, who is the applicant, I believe. Good afternoon, Mr. Tickner. The microphone is switched on by pressing the button on the base units. Just check the red light showing. Perfect. Yes, and the timer will show you how much time you have remaining of your 3 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to use my phone if that's okay. On the 23rd of May, I was given planning permission by this committee to put a 3-bedroom semi-detached house in the garden. After this decision, my neighbour opposite number 6, the house that you've shown, came to me and we had a discussion about it. And he said to me he would prefer to have a detached house rather than a semi-detached house, if that was possible. I then discussed it with everybody else in Princess Close. Out of the 9 houses, there were 6 original objections. However, the committee still passed. On this application, no one in Princess Close has objected. Obviously, they're not supporting it either because they didn't want the original one. But if they had to have something, I think they would much prefer something that was more in keeping. I also spoke to the councillors, Councillor Williams previously and Councillor Lytham, and Councillor Lytham represented the objections. So I tried to have a discussion with everybody to see what would work. He then sent me an email saying on the 7th of January that he wasn't going to object to me proposing another detached property. As you can see, we've tried to reduce everything in keeping and taking the advice of Joe where possible, where we could. One of the biggest things is that, you know, I actually live in I'm going to live in Princess Close myself. And obviously I'm trying to accommodate everybody to a satisfactory solution for everybody. I originally wanted to detach, appreciated it was probably too big, but I'm quite new to this type of thing as our application, I think, as an outline planning shows, because we keep putting things in drips and drabs. But you know, it is smaller, it is more in keeping, and we have taken as much advice as possible and discussing, you know, with everybody possible. And that's it really. I haven't got anything more to say.
That's fine. Thank you very much indeed. Members, do we have any questions of clarification? Councillor Williams.
Sorry, just a point of clarification. I was approached and I referred you to Richie Latham. So we haven't actually discussed this application. No, just to clarify that. No, that's all right. Otherwise I get in trouble.
No, I think it's misleading. I did obviously thought that you were the right person to speak to, and you did pass me to Richard's side.
Good, that's a good thing to clarify. Any other questions for our applicant? I think you were very clear. Thank you very much indeed. You may return to your seat. Thank you. Joe, is there anything you want to add before we go to members' questions?
Yeah, just one thing. I believe there was some objections actually on Prince's Close. That's what triggered it. There were 6 objections that triggered it to go to committee, just for a point of clarification. Anyway.
Good to know. Thank you. Okay. So, members, questions on the report, please. I've got a question, Joe. So you quickly went through at the beginning some changes to the report because it's an outline application. So can you just reassure us that what we're seeing on the plans in terms of where we expect to see parking and the fact that there will be 2 parking spaces and the rest of the things that we're seeing on the plans will be part of this application, so that the fact that it's just an outline for the building itself, you know, we can still have confidence that we've got a good idea of what's proposed here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this application is for the layout. It would be a separate application where we would then delve into the details of the access and the parking arrangements. We do have a parking standards requirement that would, for a 3-bed, require 2 on-site parking, which we would be strongly be looking at being achieved here on site.
I think require is the word.
Require, yes, yeah. Would require on site.
So are we all happy with the report? I think it's a bit of a... Councillor Laming.
What's the distance now between the 2 houses?
The distance is 0.8 metres between the 2 properties.
And that's considered plenty for access for maintenance, etc.
Yes, yeah, it was, and also actually a lot of these properties along the area are either link attached. It is reflective of the street scene as well.
Okay, so no more questions. We move to debate. Councillor Williams.
Thank you, Chair. I think the default position here is that there is approval for the semi-detached property. I know there are still, having read through the objections, there are still quite a few sort of objections, I think in principle, to any development on the land. However, sort of viewing this, I think the footprint is slightly smaller than certainly the semi-detached, but they're also from the previous detached proposal that originally went in before the semi-detached, and now we're at the detached once again. But the footprint is smaller, so I think of all the sort of proposals that come before us, I think this is probably the most appropriate. And I say, with the semi-detached application, we've already sort of established the principle of this would be an acceptable sort of site for a small development. So I will be supporting the officer's recommendation on this scheme, especially with the additional conditions in regards to the removal of permitted development rights. Otherwise, the dormers would be coming straight back in, and the construction management plan as well.
Councillor Gordon-Smith.
Well, I must say I never quite understand this aversion to semi-detached houses and this desire to have a detached house. It seems completely unnecessary, and I much prefer the semi-detached one. But anyway, since we are where we are, I think I would be prepared to support this.
So if there are no more contributions, this application is recommended for approval. So can I see all those members in favour of approval of this outline permission? So that is approved. Thank you very much. Just have a short break whilst we swap over the officers. Okay, so we now move to the final item on our agenda this afternoon, number 14, and this is at Iona 4 Boynemead Road in Kingsworthy. And presenting officer is Charlotte Smith. Thank you, Charlotte.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair. For clarification, there are a couple of amendments. The report refers to the 3 windows on the rear dormer being top hung in the residential amenity section of your reports. This is incorrect. It should say they will be bottom hung. There is a slight change to condition 2 because we received the plans that show these windows being bottom hung and obscure glazed, so that's all that's changed there. And condition 4 has been edited to confirm that these will be bottom hung as well as obscure glazed. Right.
Thank you.
So this slide shows the location plan with Boynemead Road to the northwest here and Lynn Way to the southeast. Slide 3 shows the aerial view of the site with the property indicated by the yellow star here. This slide shows the proposed block plan with the 3 dormers on the front here, the small infill there in the brown lines, and the rear dormer here. This slide shows the existing floor plan and roof plan. For comparison, this slide shows the proposed floor plans of both the now ground floor, the first floor, and then to follow is the proposed roof plan. Slide 8 shows the existing elevations. For comparison, the next slide shows the proposed elevations. These windows here are proposed to be bottom hung, opening on restrictors to a maximum of 100 millimetres. Oh, where's it gone? There. And obscurely glazed. This slide shows the front of the site from Boynemead Road. This is the site from the rear of the property. That's the distance to the boundary there. And this is where the rear dormer will be. For clarity, there is no increase to the ridge height. It's just that infill, that extension. And these are the site photos from numbers 3 and 4 Lynn Way. The application is recommended for approval. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. So we have one speaker this afternoon in objection, and that's Pete Curtis. Hi, Pete. Would you like to come forward? Just press the button on the base of the unit to switch on the microphone. Make sure the red light is showing because we've had a bit of problem with that one. And you have up to 3 minutes when you're ready. Thank you.
Okay. So my name is Pete Curtis. I live at 4 Lynn Way, Kingsworthy. I'm speaking today on behalf of myself and my neighbours, Mr. and Mrs. Madden, who live at 3 Lynn Way. So our gardens back directly on to the property at 4 Boynemead Road. So we have 3 points to make in relation to our objection. So in 2010, plans were first put forward to extend 4 Boynemead Road, very similar to the plans put forward today. Following objections, mainly from residents in Lynn Way, discussions were held with the owner and the plans were scaled back and went forwards with no objections. So today, we are going back to plans similar to those first submitted in 2010 and are considering extending a house that has already undergone a significant extension. The planning report plaque provided by the Planning Office makes reference to the relevant sections of the local plan. Section DM17 covers overbearing development. The planning report states The host dwelling sits towards the rear of the application site. So the application site is in very close proximity to the Linway properties. So the impact to Linway residents is particularly negative. Any planning application from adjacent properties in Boynemead Road that include a rear dormer will feel overbearing to Linway residents. The planning report also states that the scale of the proposal is minor, with a limited overall increase to the size of the property. Linway residents would not use the term minor. Planning objections note that the highest level of the roof line increases by a distance of over 50% to the current roof line. Section DM15 of the local plan covers characteristics that contribute to the distinctiveness of the local area. To date, properties at 2, 4 and 6 Boynemead Road have been developed sensitively to the neighbouring properties in Linway. However, with these plans, there is a clear risk that a precedent for further developments in Boynemead Road and Linway could be set contrary to section DM15. So to summarise, you are considering plans to extend a house that has already been extended, that is seen as overbearing to the residents of Linway, and that could set a bad precedent for overdevelopment of properties at both Boynemead Road and Linway itself. On that basis, we commend that the planning application is not approved. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Curtis. If you could just pause for a moment and see if any members have got questions of clarification. Can you just remind me exactly how close the nearest? So we can see it's very close to the boundary, what, a couple of meters. Although it's stepped back, the actual roof line is. No, it's not, is it? Hang on, let me just see. Yes, that's right. So there are two sort of the top and bottom of the sea, as it were. Yes, come very close to the boundary, and the actual roof ridge is a bit step back, isn't it? But there's quite a lot of garden, isn't there, between the Linway houses and the bungalow?
There is a garden between the two, but the Linway properties are elevated, so it certainly feels a lot closer to the roof height. Yeah. So there's a 6-foot fence between the properties. There's clearly, you can see the shrubbery in front of the fence. It's approximately 8 meters between the two.
Okay, thank you very much. Anybody else with questions of clarification? Councillor Langford-Smith.
Thank you. Can I just ask, are the properties on Linway bungalows?
They are, yes.
Thank you.
Some of them, the nearest ones.
Yeah, the ones that back onto Boynemead Road are all bungalows.
Lovely. Thank you very much for your time. If you would like to sit down again, thank you. So that's the end of our public contributions. Charlotte, did you want to add anything following that?
No, but I'm happy to answer questions.
So members, we move to questions on the report. If anybody's got any questions on the report. Councillor Langford-Smith.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just struggling to understand the photographs from numbers 3 and 4 Linway, which look as if they're taken from upstairs windows.
So it's on quite a significant slope. So those are ground floor windows that those are taken from.
Thanks.
Councillor Aaron.
Thank you. Could I ask about the slope? Because I think in the report it says that actually that's helpful because they're not actually facing those new windows, so on. But I can also see that it is very much in your face when you look out, and they're used to just the ridge and then the view, and so the whole slope thing is can be seen two ways, but you still concluded that it was a reasonable outlook for Linway.
So yes, you don't have a right to a view, so ultimately that's not a planning consideration. And with regards to, as I said, these windows, they're conditioned to be obscurely glazed. The ridge height isn't actually increasing; it's staying the same. It's just extending along the top. And the rear dormer is, whilst it of
Chair, I just wanted to say, because it is quite a big extension on the roof, often in practice when these things are implemented, they do blend in more to the existing roof than you would imagine. Actually, that plan that you've just seen shows a white house with a big brown sort of box on it. That's not how it will appear. I'm not sure how we conditioned this. We would expect the materials, and sometimes the roof materials of it and the elevation wall materials of it are of a similar tone or texture to the existing roof materials. It doesn't look so oppressive as it might perhaps look in that plan.
Is it wood cladding? Is that what it says on here? I can't quite see. It is conditioned. Condition 3 is that the materials used as detailed in the associated application form, but you would have agreed that they were something that would blend in, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
I think, members, if I read from the application form, so existing materials and finishes are facing brickwork, proposed lead cheeks to front elevation dormer windows, composite / timber horizontal boarding to rear elevation dormer. On the roof, it'll be concrete roof tiles that are currently existing, proposed concrete roof tiles to match existing, reuse existing where possible, dark grey single ply membrane to dormers. Currently, in terms of windows, white framed PVC-U double glazed, being proposed white framed PVC-U double glazed windows to match existing.
Just to put that in context, in Oliver's Battery Work, there's quite a few big extensions on the roofs, and it's the same materials, that composite boarding, and it does appear okay. Actually, blends it in.
Could I just seek a further clarification on the question of the top, what I would call the top of the house, but the ridge? And so, as I understand it, the ridge is longer in length, but no higher.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks very much.
So actually the ridge of the house is slightly above the dormer height. Okay, is everybody clear what we're looking at? Yeah, any more questions on the report to our officer? So we move to debate. Councillor Williams.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think with there being no increase to the overall height of the scheme, I think that the slope actually is quite sympathetic towards any potential impacts. If the slope were reversed, I could see potentially a dormer being a little bit more overbearing. Furthermore, there is quite a bit of vegetation already, sort of mature planting that screens the development, and with the obscured glass and restriction on how far the windows are able to open on certainly the rear dormer, I can't see how this would be overbearing, unfortunately. So I'll be supporting the application.
Councillor White.
Yes, I agree with Councillor Williams. The slope means that the property is set down from the properties in Lynn Way. Therefore, there's not overlooking from the proposed property, and those obscure glass windows, they're going to be stairs and a landing and a shower, so they're again not overlooking. And although it's large and close to the boundary, I think, as you've said, if the materials can be in keeping with what's already there, I don't think it would be overbearing.
If there are no more contributions to debate, this application is recommended for approval. So can I see all members in favour of approving, please? So that application is approved. And that's the end of today's planning committee. Thank you very much.